everybody. It's time for your morning ice. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Morning Ice in the Crease with Tommy C. Let's go over last night's games in the National Hockey League. Colorado goes down to Winnipeg in overtime. Nice little win for Winnipeg, sitting at the bottom of the standings. Columbus gets taken down by the Stanley Cup champions, 5-2. Ottawa, who has not won a game in Chicago since 2001, keeps that streak alive. Chicago takes them down, 2-1. And the game of the night, a fight-filled mayhem. The Sharks actually get it together after a horrible East Coast trip. They take down the Anaheim Mighty Punks, 4-1. And Washington goes down to Vancouver, 2-4. What was that, Dave Rose? Was that somebody had like 2 goals in 2 minutes in that one, right?
Yeah. 3 goals in 1 minute 47 seconds.
1 minute 47 seconds. Who was that?
No, there was 3 goals. There was 2. I can't remember who it was. I got to pull that information up.
But, don't worry about it. Let's start this sucker. All right. It's only a hockey show. And from Canada, his first appearance on In the Crease with Tommy C. Brand new, damn new. I have your Dead on Dave thing above you. That's horrible of me. I should have pulled that down. Now I feel terrible about it. Let's see if I can take it down. I just simply forgot to change it. I got Dead on Dave. Well, we threw Dead on Dave to the Wolves because he had a big night. He had a big night last night with Joe Cronin and, of course, Hell in the Cell. Did you catch that, by the way?
Unfortunately, I did waste my time watching that crap, and I shouldn't have. I really should have just been watching hockey because it was a total waste of my time.
Yeah, it's well. They told a good story. I watched the final match. They told a good story, and then it just turned into somebody in upper management decided to get involved and screw the whole thing up. You know, I enjoyed the match, and then they had to find a way to stick another guy in. We won't get into that. But first thing I want to get off and say that Shot from the Point has learned that Oscar Taveras of the St. Louis Cardinals, baseball player. We don't usually touch on baseball, but this is kind of serious. He's recently passed away. I don't think it's even been 12 hours yet, and he's passed away in a car wreck in the Dominican Republic with his girlfriend. And Jeff Huffman, of course, is a really, really big St. Louis. He's just a St. Louis sports guy to the bone. And he did both these. He's a young guy. Taveras is a young guy, and it's always very difficult to lose your sports hero, especially at this age, not only just for Jeff, but for everybody, because it's just like, when you're a famous baseball player, a famous athlete, and you're good shape, good looking, you have the whole world in front of you. It's always shocking when you lose somebody so young. So from all the Shot from the Point team, we wish the best to the Taveras family. I don't know really where to go from there with that. We seem to be reporting a lot of sad news lately.
Yeah, it hasn't been a good week for sports or for life in general.
No, it's been really, really, really rough. But hey, we'll get through it. I want to call up here. I want to go to the webpage right now, and I want to pull up. Hold on just a second. I'm having a little problem now. Yes, sir. There's the webpage, and I'll put the San Jose Sharks and the San Jose Sharks and the LA Kings, they really got it on last night. It was one heck of a hockey game, if you like the good old throwdown. I mean, in the third period, I'm gonna pull up these stats in a minute. The third period, I mean, let's see. First period, I'm counting 1, 2. I actually had an embellishment call. 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8 games misconducts. I mean, the benches just must have been empty by the time this was over. Exciting game. Sharks get back on track. I mean, the Ducks have simply been on fire. What is that goaltender's name over there that has just come out of nowhere? Because that was the one question mark that the Ducks had this year was their goaltender, and this guy Henrik. I got to get this kid's name here. If you can help me, feel free.
I'm trying to pull that up right now.
I'm going to pull him up right now. I think he's Swedish. Yeah, Fredrik Anderson. Is that his name? I gotta get
Danish.
Danish.
The Danish netminders with
Yeah.
6-0.
Goalie here in Denmark. Oh, it looks like a Danish guy too. I just got married in Denmark not too long ago. Age 25. This kid has been one of the stars, one of the goalie stars in the league right now. I mean, he is just kicking ass and taking names. And with the loss of, boy, I'm a little off today. With the loss of their last goaltender last year, this could be better. But I mean, the Sharks for some, I tell you something.
Anderson.
Yeah, I'm starting to think the Sharks
Frederick
aren't a bad hockey team. It's just they're a little bit on the unbalanced side. I'm getting that impression. I'm wondering if they're going to be something to deal with. I think they took that dropping 4 in a row real hard to the Kings, and they aren't. You've seen this with the Kings a little bit. They're not taking shit from anybody over there, and they had a nice losing streak, and then they come back with that. So I something tells me I should keep my eye on the Sharks. And as for the Ducks, this guy Anderson, they look like an elite team. Ducks look like an elite team like they usually do every year. The West is deep, but the interesting thing about this one is, of course, the amount of fights. The fighting has been way, 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 way down. Even last year, where it dropped early in November and October, we haven't seen too many guys drop the gloves too many times. But boy, this game, there was a lot. The advanced stats throw them aside. You've seen a lot of stars throwing down. What do you think of that, Dave?
I actually wanted to ask your opinion because we've had callers on In the Crease and Shot from the Point Live where they've stated and somewhat disagreed with you and myself because I share the same stance as you, but they'd said that West Coast hockey is more aggressive than East Coast hockey. Traditionally, East Coast, and that's why I'm on your side of the argument. There has been traditionally more aggressive, but we're seeing a total flip flop, and those two teams were really going at it and really aggressive with each other.
Well,
so,
I have to agree with you. I think when I got that call, I got several calls on that, and I think when I got that call, my instinct is like historically that's the case. That the East Coast hockey is kind of a more aggressive game, but I really had to start to think about it, and I might have been wrong, and just may have gone with the impulse of just always being very comfortable with the East Coast being the tougher of the two, the West being more the finesse, and the East being more the grinder. You think of the Boston Bruins, the Philadelphia Flyers; those are the beasts from the East. But that may be. I don't know if one game says that. I think there's a lot of there's an interdivisional rivalry going on here. These two teams obviously don't like each other. But I want to point out something that Matthew Kazar said in a few episodes of Shot from the Point Live. By the way, I had a lot of fun last night. That was one of the most fun episodes I think we ever had. It was a blast, a lot of laughs. If you want to, please check out Shot from the Point Live, the last one. We do it 3 p.m. Sundays every Sunday on Eastern Standard Time. We had a lot of fun. It was kind of sad because of everything that happened during the week, and then it got goofy at the end. So bear with my drunkenness during the beginning, and when you get about halfway through, it's a great show. I start to think, like, when I look at this list of fighting majors, Tommy Wingles, Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaf, this is not goon versus goon. And I think what Kazar said, the enforcer of the future may not be the sort of the traditional John Scott. Interesting, John Scott got into it in this game as well. It might be more of a Wayne Simmons fight or type of player, a Wayne Simmons type of player. Or if you want to add that to your list of arsenal enforcing, like Jerome McGinley has. Jerome McGinley has never backed down from anybody, and at most times he's the most important player in his team for scoring and other things, and he sticks up for teammates as well, as good as anybody. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Jerome McGinley's Gordie Howe in the modern era in a lot of ways. Good old Canadian boy, as Don Cherry would say. But I wonder if by losing and forcing, you force the stars to throw down. Maybe that's what we're seeing. Whereas guys like Wingles, Perry, Getzlaf are thinking it's, all right, we don't have a John Scott. We don't have a Joe Koster. We don't have a Bob Provert. Maybe I got to take care of this myself. And is that a good thing, Dave Rose? Or is that a bad thing?
I really don't know. It could be a good thing. It would be forcing the teams to start to adapt to the situation. But is this situation only caused due to the advanced stats and analytics? And is that why we need to change the game further to match that? Because all this discussion on aggressiveness, defensemen, enforcers, and the changes that are coming with the game, I'm actually a little bit terrified. I'm a fair bit old school. I like my old type hockey. I actually watched, because of all this discussion on In the Crease and Shot from the Point Live, I recently watched Goon
Oh yeah.
and what's it called? Slapshot. Sorry, and I don't know. I mean, I'm really terrified as to what kind of change.
Take the number 69. It's
Sure
hilarious.
is.
But go ahead, Dave.
I really don't know if it's just my old foginess that's preventing me from accepting this or being more open to it. But I'm really terrified to see what's going to happen, because even with my aversion to bullying and unnecessary violence, it's quite clear that this is integral to, like, aggression and controlled violence and fighting is integral to hockey. And we can't just take it away. So I don't know if it's just my old foginess coming through, and if I should just get in line and accept the way things are going to now be, or if maybe I'm onto something. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't want to be an old fogey. I'm approaching 40 very soon, and I want to be open to stuff like that. But I don't want to be, who mentioned that? What was that French guy called in? And I'm not calling him French guy because I'm a rude jerk off. He calls himself French guy because he doesn't want everybody to know his real name. But didn't he mention something to the effect of whenever the analytics don't add up, like in the case of Edmonton, although lately they are, lately it is. The scientists blame luck. That
Yes,
don't sound
that was
too
him.
solid to me.
They were unlucky, is what
Yeah.
he said. That was great.
Yeah, that's not washing. That's really. I mean, that might even be the end of it for me. At
I
the
actually
same,
yelled out loud when he said that, because I was hearing that, and I could not believe that that's what the commentator said. Oh, they were unlucky.
they're unlucky. No, maybe your science is wrong. Maybe you can't. This is something like I mean, look, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I mean, I remember watching Jurassic Park, and they used the term chaos theory, that they couldn't actually eliminate every anomaly. That's kind of the whole crux of that, and that's that's kind of real. That's real science. It seems like something with it's like down on Dave says, with ice surface and sticks and things break and people get the flu and bad day. Is this? Is this that kind of statement makes me think it's not viable, and I think that's not just me being an old fogey. That's legitimate skepticism. But at the same time, I think it's one of those things where it could be valuable, but the value itself is overrated currently, and I think is also because of what Dead on Dave says, is that the geeks, the nerds, the guys that never picked up a stick, that had no chance of making the juniors, no chance of making the NHL, no chance of making their high school team. This is their way to kind of insert themselves through numbers, because this is what they do well. And I think they're going to hold on to that. And I think you're going to see more statements like that in the future. But don't forget, that doesn't mean it doesn't have value. It's just too new. It's too new to say. I mean, look at the Toronto Maple Leafs. We see a team that looks like they should be leading their division sometimes, some periods, and we see a team that looks very lackluster, a team that's going to blow 10 in a row. I mean, does that have something to do with the bad stats? Maybe we can't put our finger on it. I'm not sure. When I look at the game, I go by feel, and because I think there's a lot of psychology to the game. I think emotion rules that. I think when I want to see an advanced stat on fighting, changes in that would be after a fight, how many times the score shifts and things like that. I think that would be an interesting advanced stat, because I mean, anybody that's played this game or even been around it, the advanced stats guys say the fighting has no impact. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't see that. I've seen it have emotional impact. I've seen it not work. I've seen it backfire, and I've seen it mean next to nothing. But I've also seen it, especially when two stars fight. When you get a situation where you got the best, I mean, that is the rarest of the rare and a very, very special treat. When you see your top guy go. I remember when Mark Messier used to drop the gloves for the New York Rangers, which he didn't. He did it more in Edmonton. It would make my heart pitter pat. And if it was making my heart pitter pat, it was making all the kids on the bench feel the same way. That's our captain sticking up for us. You mean to tell me that means nothing? And give me a break. I mean, I don't know. Tell me. You tell me. I mean, me and you are trying to figure out if we're a bunch of old kooks or making any sense at all. Take it away.
I wish I knew. I mean, I've made it quite clear that I am biased towards analytics. I actually revealed a little more about that on the Boston-Toronto post-game review with Joe Cronin. But I mentioned in there that I need to see it fail for the reason that you cannot quantify things like testosterone, ice surface, the chill in the wind, the fact that a player had a fight with his girlfriend the night before. I mean, I have to see it fail because I don't see these other X factors being quantified. Now, what you said was very interesting. If we could get stats on the fighting and how that changes puck possession and scoring and stuff, that would be interesting to see. And
does Corsi go up or down after a fight?
Speaking of which, you had made a great mention yesterday on the Shot from the Point live show where a video is going around, I think it's on ESPN, about players explaining whether they understand or not the advanced stats. And you made a great point stating that the younger guys do.
Yeah, the younger guys do.
Just go out and play. That's a great point.
Yeah, just go out and play. But, I mean, the thing is, if I mean, I don't know. A game like hockey, I mean, thinking about stats when you're out there, I mean, I almost think that would be a dangerous thing to do. But understanding, I don't know if they play that. You know what? They may all go out and play. We don't know that, but they just the other younger guys may be more exposed to it going up in the Canadian juniors. It'd also be an interesting question, which I honestly don't know because I don't know enough. And I think mostly most of the guys I know, the European hockey fans, and I haven't talked to them on NHL 15 in a while, are Swedish. How much is that having an impact in the European league? So that would be also an interesting question. I mean, are you guys thinking about Corsi when you go out there? I mean, is Corsi the result of emotion, or is it a result of a guy like Drew Doughty and Jake Muzzin who just seems to kind of take control of the game? I mean, I think it's almost impossible to answer. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm lost. I'm lost for it.
So am I. And I actually mentioned that the other day that I'm not familiar with what they're trying to do. So I've been thrown for a loop as to try to figure out what direction teams are going in, why we see such stupid disparities from one game to the next. You know, the Leafs are a great example of that. So, you know, something's happening, and I really don't know what to think.
Well, that's a good point.
My suspicion it's analytics.
There is not one. It's not November yet. There is not one undefeated team left in the NFL or the NHL. They haven't had one team. Even Nashville.
Nashville's been at the top since the beginning, but they've been losing games still.
Yeah, and they finally lost the game. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems like everybody. I mean, look at the Sharks. And on this terrible losing streak, they just get pounded in the East. They go back and they beat a team in the Ducks that may be a better team than all of the other teams in the East combined. I don't know if there's one team like the Ducks in the East. I think I really can't think. I mean, I guess your go-to would be Boston, but I mean they're struggling. Maybe the Pens. They're quite hot, but they've lost games too. So it seems like it almost reminds me of the early '90s where everybody can kind of beat each other on any given night.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's because of advanced stats as well. There's definitely advanced stats aside. They are going. They're going for puck possession and skill, which in the strange thing that's actually given smaller players a chance to get in there, which I have no problem with. I like to see small players get the chance. I would hope. Don Cherry said that the small player, the way they're changing the rules, the small player is just on his way out. Especially with some of the rule changes they made in Canada about hitting and what age you can start hitting at, that these guys won't learn from. I think they just raised it from 12 to 14, which is, in my opinion, one of the most dangerous things that was ever done in Canadian hockey.
A lot of people said the same thing. If you don't teach them young, there's going to be a lot more accidents in the future.
Here's the biggest reason. It's not just a mental thing in learning how to hit. You could hit at 11 when you were a kid, right? Because we can't hit till we're 13 or 14 in the States. It'd be interesting to show the stats on injuries in the States as well. I think it was 11. So what do you weigh at 11 tops on average? 80, 90 pounds? Something like that?
Most, yeah.
So what happens when coach says, okay, you can hit him? They teach you how to hit. They teach you to hit the guy with the puck in the chest, not in the numbers. You're hitting a guy that's about the same weight as you are. You know, all that weight is... it's not as dangerous. Not to say you can't get killed playing hockey at 11, but it's really unusual considering you don't have full-size men. Now you bump it up to 14, 15. Well, guess what? I'm 6'1". I weigh about 200-something pounds. But I'm 6'1", and I weighed over 100 pounds when I was 14 years old. And I was about 6 feet because I grew really fast. Now you're going up against a full-size man, and you don't know how to hit. So you tell these boys, you can go out there and get them, and then they just go crazy, and when they fuck up, you can take them aside. Look, you can't do that. It's dangerous. Boom, that's the wrong way to hit. Now you're telling, essentially, guys that hit puberty to go out there and hit them. That's dangerous because they're just going to be as crazy as they would have been had they learned at 11 or 12, yet they don't know anything.
Is that what led to that biting incident the other day on the ice?
What biting?
You put a video up, and there was a player who got into
Was that
a
the
fight
Epic
with
3? That
another
was last year.
That
That was last year. Yeah,
but
well,
you
it
did
was
make
just
a
some
good point that
nom
these were young players,
millennial.
so-
No, I think that is the most frightening thing I've heard out of Team Canada is the fact that they're or Canadian youth hockey is that they're not teaching these kids to hit younger, and it's being done in the vein that it's for safety reasons, and it's actually
exactly.
It's one of the most unsafe things to do.
Unsafe.
Teach these kids how to hit and let them make mistakes when they weigh 80, 90 pounds, not when they weigh 130 or 40. And, you know, some kids are fucking big. I've seen kids over 200 pounds at 15 years old. Some of them are even in shape. It happens. They usually grow up to be athletes. But, I mean, if these guys don't know how to hit and they don't have respect and they're wearing cages and stuff, which I don't have a problem with. I mean, I know in the 70s it was okay to come home without a tooth when you were 15 or 16 years old. That don't fly anymore. I mean, you got to protect people's faces. I mean, the odds are they're not going to be a hockey player and you have to go to work. I don't really have a problem with the cages, but I mean, it is right to say the cages and not teaching these things will give these guys less respect for their fellow man, because a lot of the reason they have enforcing in hockey is just basically respect for your fellow man. And if you break these rules, then this happens to you. And learning, I just I don't understand it. And it's like most things in life, it's being done for the sake of safety and being conscious. And there's not really a lot of thought going into this consciousness. So that's where I'll end that. But otherwise, I had a blast last night. I don't know about you.
On the show, absolutely.
I had an absolute blast last night. It was.
I had a few good lines.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And I thought that was it wasn't my favorite show of all time. I think the Doc Emmerich one was my favorite show of all time. I don't know if you heard the whole episode, but it was definitely I'll never forget that episode because it was just so much fun. It was so much goofing around. Even Jake came in. He had a great line. Dave hit his stride early. I think Dave's podcasting has gotten so much better since he started with Joe Cronin. It's just like night and fucking day.
Really?
It's night and day. And then, it's just, that's what Shot from the Point Live is about. You just get in, kind of bullshit with your buddies. You know what else I didn't? I didn't put the friggin' phone number up. I didn't even ask anybody to call in. But nobody usually calls in the morning anyway. They're usually going to work and what have you. And speaking of, you got work today?
I work from home, so, yeah.
You work at home. That must be
Well,
nice.
I work from home for a lot of stuff, but then I do have to go out and do other things as well.
You got to do other things. And how far do you live from Toronto? Like, relatively? You have to give me an exact
Depends on
number.
what you define as Toronto. If you want the
City,
GTA,
downtown.
the new city of Toronto, I'm in it. But the old city of Toronto is, I guess, the downtown core.
So, okay, so is it like I live like in an urban area. It's like
I'm in the suburbs.
So it's more like the suburbs. Okay, it's like more like the suburbs in New Jersey and what have you. I really got to get over there. I got to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. How many times have you been to the Hockey Hall of Fame? Now I'm going to interview
I
a
think
Canadian.
twice. That's all. And it was when I was like young.
Did you? Oh, Dad took you. What was that like?
It was a school trip.
Oh, school trip.
Dude, that's what we do here.
School trip? You watch hockey? Oh my God, I can't imagine that. That's so awesome. Canadians have their shit together. They really, really, really do. They really do. They're amazing, amazing people. I really wonder if maybe I was time and space got screwed up for me, and I was supposed to be Canadian. You ever think of that?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, you know your sport, you have a passion for it, and you like to fly the red and white. So you're good in our books.
Yeah, I do. Well, I was raised to be very patriotic because everybody was like a war veteran in my family. But I always I never heard other countries' patriotism. So in my buddies, most of our stuff was inline hockey. I mean, we're working. Most of the kids I knew were pretty much either middle or working class. So I mean, if you could get ice time, and if you had a family that was a hockey family, that's the only way you got it. Like you get somebody like me, none of my family was interested in it, and that's another thing. It just came out of nowhere. There was no seed there. There was just radio. That's what turned me onto it. So you had all that stuff, and I just completely blanked out about what I was talking about. I am going to stop drinking on Sundays. I swear to God. Oh, what was I talking about? Oh, it's awful.
You're talking about how in Canada it's a little bit different for the kids.
Yes. Now I remember. God damn, it's really well. No more drinking on Sunday because I listened to
That's
the first part of that show. I listened to the first part of the show yesterday. I was like, God, man, you really got to stop drinking. It was the 20th anniversary of the Irish pub. What was one to do? All right. And so my buddy, this guy Charlie, who I think was half Canadian, he'd bring these VHS tapes of Don Cherry, and then I'd bring them home, and we'd share them. And then my father, I remember my father, and he was, we were sitting there, and Cherry's he's got like a water bottle in his hand, right? And he's like, you see this? There was a kid in Manitoba. They were sharing each other's water bottles, and the kid, he got meningitis. He died. And the father, he's very upset. And then we're just like, so kids, bring your own water bottle, right? And it just stops. And my father goes, I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk like that in my life. It was so refreshing. I mean, kids, bring a damn water bottle. It's like being in the Marine Corps. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, at that point, and then he talked about patriotism, and it was the patriotism I was used to because I was raised to think my country was the greatest place on earth, and we're the most wonderful people, and everybody loves us. But I kind of appreciated that. And then, especially moving to Europe, where it's kind of cool to hate your country, which is like a total turnoff to me. If people say, Germany is just, it's for the birds. It's no good. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to be your friend. That really bugs the shit out of me. So, so it was cool to kind of embrace Canadian patriotism too, because first of all, it's similar. And then this old guy who used to coach the Boston Bruins just making no apologies, and those are the type of people that I'm attracted to. So there's part of my story. I probably should read that letter on the air. I got to do some typo fixing, and we'll talk about that one day. All right, everybody, let's call this a night. Let's go over tonight's game. I think there's only 2 games tonight. The New York Rangers host the Minnesota North Stars. And you know what? I'm Don Cherry now. I'm just going to start giving names to teams. If I don't like the name of your team, I'm just going to call you the North. Exactly. The Minnesota North Stars at the New York Rangers and the Montreal Canadiens at the Edmonton Oilers. Go Edmonton! Keep that streak alive. I can't stand the Habs. I can't stand them at all, so I hope Minnesota actually, I hope Edmonton keeps it up. Advanced stats or not, I'm getting tired of those guys fucking losing. Would you agree?
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Winning. It's good hockey.
Yeah. Well, it's like me. I want everybody to win, but of course you can't. That's just the way it goes. But it is. You will think my thing with the Edmonton Oilers is this, and then we have to go. They may be there are all these draft picks. They supposedly have all this talent out there. Is it possible those guys aren't that fucking good? And maybe they're drafted too high? I think maybe. I don't know. I'm no Don Cherry. Thank you very much, everybody. See you tomorrow. Good night. Stay tuned tomorrow, 10 p.m. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bring the crease, Tommy C. Going to sushi with my wife. Yes, I am. It's sushi time. Morning time for you guys in Europe. It is time for sushi. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Bye.